Magnum Zhang Wei Li is minus 330. Amanda Lemos comes back plus 240. So the second reign as champion now begins for China Zhang Wei Li. And even if she is not, as Daniel Cormier claimed, the greatest athlete that he's ever seen, she's like on the list. She is spectacular. Huge respect from odds makers as usual for this defense as well. She's gone from minus 298 to minus 330. Bri, we'll start with you here. Amanda Lemos, undeniable one-strike knockout power, not just in her right hand. She has that in her left hand as well. She's got some chokes, great form for a finisher, and now she'll try to shock much of the MMA world and upset Zhang Wei Li. How do you handicap her chances, kid?
Yeah, I love this fight. I think this could be fight of the night. I think this is going to be an absolute war here. Amanda Lemos, I think, is getting slept on a little bit. She is, I think, great value. If I didn't love Zhang Wei Li so much, I would take a stab at it. And by the way, the whole months ago when John missed his show, I think that was the first time I get exposed about how bad I pronounce names, because I pronounced Zhang Wei Li like 10 different ways, and Cody put a nice clip together. So that's bringing me back. But no, listen. Wei Li's good, man, and she's getting better. What I love about it is sometimes you see in MMA, and I don't want to single out any fighters, but I have a guy in my head who's from Texas. They win the title, and then they just fall off because their goal was the title. Their goal wasn't defending it. Their goal wasn't being the best in the world. Let me get that strap. They get a strap, then I'm good. Wei Li's gotten better since getting the strap, and then obviously the first time losing and then getting it back. Her grappling's on point. She's bricky. She's tiny, little muscle balled up, and she's fast. I think she's faster than Lemos. Lemos has great timing, though. Like, I thought for sure Marina Rodriguez would, I nailed that too, by the way. I thought she would for sure was going to beat Lemos, and Lemos said, no, I got big power. I'm not the fastest, but my timing's on point. She showed some good ground skills as well. She's got a good choke. But I like Wei Li here, man. I was going to go and new, but when I really dug into it, this is a hard fight for me to pick. I just really like Wei Li's skills. Cody's saying in the chat that she's value under 500. I kind of agree with that. You're getting pretty good value at minus 330, but I do think this is a dog fight. But I love Magnum's when her introduction, she does the double guns to the camera. So I'm going to go right there for Wei Li Zhang and let's go.
I don't know if Tom Brady's going to be in the building this weekend.
Ooh.
But Zhang Wei Li is a huge Tom Brady fan. As such, he was a big New England Patriots fan. And I think that is in some part why Zhang Wei Li is fighting here in Boston. So the hosts of this podcast are both from Massachusetts. There's a little bit of bias in this episode, and I think all week long. But Ken Flo, Zhang Wei Li making that walk here in the Bean against Amanda Lemos. Your thoughts on the co-main event?
You know, when I'm judging an athlete, I'm looking at, what physical traits they're bringing to the cage, right? Or in general, whatever sport it is. How explosive are they? Their speed, their mobility, how easy do they make movements look? And Zhang Wei Li, in my opinion, is an A-class athlete, absolutely world-class. And then you compound the fact that how she learns, how quickly she gets better. You don't see that too often, man. You certainly see improvements, but improvements over the course, like fight to fight at a high level, is just unbelievable, especially in regards to her grappling. Now, why am I mentioning the grappling? Do not be surprised if we see more of a grappling game plan from Wei Li here. Can she strike with Lemos, and will she strike with Lemos? Yeah, absolutely. And she could win that fight as well if it just stays on the feet. But I do think the smartest path to victory here would be to take Lemos down, slow her down, land some ground and pound, which Wei Li also has at a high level. And I think she's going to be keen on trying to out-position her as well. I think she's getting that confidence. And just from seeing her training, she seems like she really is taking to this grappling training. To me, I don't know anything about her inside game plan or anything like that, but to me, it seems like maybe we will see that here against Lemos, who does have some good submissions as well. She can be dangerous there, but I think that top position for Wei Li might be a path to victory here. Lemos, I've been a big fan of. I remember her knocking out her opponent going backwards. And when you see a 115-pounder do that, knock someone out, male or female, going backwards, and then in the manner in which she does it, there's something special about her. I know she started her mixed martial arts career, combat sports career in boxing, and that is evident when she's letting those hands fly, man. She is extremely dangerous. Where I think she kind of gets thrown off is she gets maybe a little bit too emotional. She gets a little bit, I don't want to say spastic. That would be a little bit harsh and a little extreme, but she does get thrown off her base a little bit because she's trying to crack you so hard. She throws herself off balance a little bit. And again, someone like Wei Li, who is such a good athlete, who does tend to keep her balance pretty well in fights, I think that's where she can get exposed in regards to takedowns and counters and things.
Yeah.
So I think there's good value on Lemos, but give me Wei Li. I think she takes it here.
Yeah, Lemos definitely has that heavy base, uber aggressive, former jungle fight champion at bantamweight, actually made her UFC debut at 35, and then she was suspended and returned 2 years later and did so at 115 pounds, where she has since won 7 of 8 to set up her first championship opportunity in the UFC. All right. Drum roll, please. Main event for the undisputed UFC Bantamweight Championship of the World. 4th defense for Aljamain Sterling, and it comes just 15 short weeks after he went 25 hard in a win over Henry Cejudo. Sterling minus 265. Top contender Sean O'Malley is plus 215. This is the first fight for O'Malley since his thriller with Petr Yan. That was all the way back at UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi last October. Brian Petrie.
Yes.
Your moment has arrived. Who do you like in the main event at UFC 292?
All right, so I just loosened one of these buttons. It's getting hot in here, boys. It's getting hot. I'm ready to break this down. So I like to kind of keep it quick sometimes. I might go a little longer on this. I apologize.
Please.
Listen, I don't want to, in my part of town, a lot of my friends aren't MMA fans. I am the MMA guy, so I can't really buy MMA merch because then it's like a little too on the nose. Like, oh, look at this fucking guy. I've never owned Affliction, never owned Tap Out. I will expose myself. I have a Sugar Sean O'Malley t-shirt that I bought that I am a fan of. I am a fan of Sugar Sean O'Malley. And if I was ever going to pick against Aljo, it might be a guy like this. I love O'Malley's mental as well. If you hear him talking like Rogan or his own podcast, if you get through a lot of the bullshit that people get clipped, he is pretty thoughtful and he knows what he needs to do. He knows his game in and out. Him and his coach know that. And his striking is just world class. It truly is. Timing, speed, everything. And then the Petr Yan fight was the one that really opened my eyes because before that, I felt like he fell a little flat in the Pedro Munoz fight. I felt like he fell flat in the Cheeto fight. And the Petr Yan fight was the fight where he's like, okay, I got to prove I'm tough. And what does he do? He goes out there and he wins the 3rd fucking round after getting dropped in the 2nd. And I think he won that fight. I know there's a big, controversial, all this bullshit. But Aljo is a really bad matchup for Sugar Sean O'Malley. Sugar says, I can't let him get my back. I can't let him get on the ground. All those things are true. I think Sugar has to have a perfect performance for the win. I don't think Aljo has to have a perfect performance. I think Aljo can come in there and be Aljo. And I'm a little worried that he didn't want to take the fight on such short notice. He's a champion. He said he wanted to rest some injuries. That concerns me. But on the flip side, if I'm playing devil's advocate, maybe it pisses him off. Maybe he goes, fuck this. I'm going to go into Boston. I'm going to take this dude's head. He came in the cage with a Michael Jackson jacket on, and I'm going to fucking take his head now, right? And so maybe we get a mad Aljo. And by the way, I heard you guys talking earlier in the week about the hate for Aljo. I don't get it. Shame on us Americans for not backing this guy. If you go to Brazil, Charles Oliveira is a hero. You go to Dagestan, Islam and Khabib are heroes. We have, as Americans, the best pound for pound fighter at 135 pounds, maybe the GOAT, which is a real argument you can make. And we're booing this guy. The fuck's the matter with us? That ain't gonna happen. I love Aljo, right? Never met the guy. Obviously, I'm, with Ray and everything, but I've never met him, but he seems like a great dude. Big fan of him. I think he gets the fight to the ground. And I think if he takes Sugar Sean O'Malley's back once, I think it's kind of a wrap, unfortunately. But I think, he has to be careful in round 1. I have this picture in my head. O'Malley's really practicing short knees, quick kicks, kind of like how Aljo got caught against Marlon Moraes, coming in and get clipped with something. I see that being in Sugar Sean's game plan, but I think this is going to be too much for him. I think Aljo cruises here, and I think he gets a submission win. So I'm playing Aljo. I'm playing him in a parlay, and I'm going to play him by submission as well. And maybe a same game parlay on DraftKings Sportsbook, but I'm all over Aljo on this one. And I like Sean. So let's go.
All right, Aljamain Sterling minus 265 or so on DraftKings Sportsbook. He's got 15 UFC wins, Kenny. And the wins list is absurd for Aljamain Sterling. Even the Corey Sandhagen win, because it was so quick. I think sometimes people who were left wanting more want to somehow denigrate that win for Aljo, which is just absurd. He's a big favorite here against Sugar Sean O'Malley, whom I believe is a fighter on a level that Aljo has not experienced before. Not saying it's enough for him to win necessarily, but I do believe it is not just Sean O'Malley that is dealing with this all different physical challenge. Who do you have for us in the main event?
Yeah, I'm a fan of O'Malley, man. I think that his length, his range, and his ability to use it with speed and technique and get a rhythm for what you were doing is going to be a problem for anybody, including Sterling. Sterling, at the end of the day, has to find a way to get on the inside, get to that clinch position, and take O'Malley down and keep him down. But you have to get on the inside of that jab. You have to get on the inside and know how to deal with those kicks that are going to be coming at your body, at your legs, all those things. And that's not going to be easy, especially straight off the bat. O'Malley typically gets off to a great start, man. And once he gets your number and he gets his rhythm, he's very difficult to take out of his rhythm and take away that momentum from him. However, Sterling is very good at making you look bad. You alluded to Sandhagen not being in there for very long. And that is the sign of a master at the end of the day. When they make it look effortless, when they do a quick type of finish, like they get that one opportunity and you don't get it back. It was one and done, one mistake, and that's it. And Sterling is very good at taking advantage of those mistakes. Now, I talked about this earlier in the week when Ray was on, and I think that O'Malley can get some things done, even on the ground. I think he's got some good attacks on the ground and this and that. But I think the weakest part of his game when it comes to his jiu-jitsu is his positioning. The strongest part of Aljo's game is his positioning. Right. So that's what makes it very difficult. And Aljo, even if he doesn't get the submission, he can beat you up and win rounds from his superior positioning, whether it's punches or kicks or this and that. He's very good in that. And the fact that O'Malley is very long and rangy and that helps him on the feet, the fact that he's long and rangy could be a detriment to him on the ground, something that Ray alluded to earlier in the week as well. And I couldn't agree more with that statement. And I think Brian is spot on. This is a very, very tough match for O'Malley, especially at this point in his career. Now, I am picking Aljamain Sterling. I think he retains this belt, but don't be surprised to see Sean O'Malley later on at some point in his career come back to be a world champion. I think he has a very high level of talent, and I agree with Brian in regards to his mindset, his approach. I do think he takes this game very seriously, despite all the, the coloring of his hairs and the Lamborghinis and this and that. I do think he takes this very seriously, and he realizes how good he can be at this game. He's already making a lot of money, but I do think he can make a lot of money in the future, yet still, and do that by becoming a world champion. So give me Aljamain Sterling, and also give me +2 units on him as well.